Okay, so in this video, we're going to go through our basic 1-point perspective drawing technique. This again is a basic one, so we're not going to go all out like we will later in a new video. So the first thing you have to do with perspective, and this is linear perspective, since the 1 point refers to a vanishing point. First thing you have to do is draw your horizon line. Now for this, again, since this is kind of a basic one, we are going to label our horizon line and our vanishing points. Okay, so for 1 point perspective, you pretty much want to keep your 1 point somewhere in the middle. If you start to have it out towards the side, you'll need to have a second vanishing point opposite it. All right, so I've got my point. I'm just going to label this VP for vanishing point. So we're going to draw 3 forms in this basic 1 point perspective drawing. So one is going to be a cube, which I'm going to start down here on the left side underneath the horizon line. And just as a warning to you viewers, I do have cats that are generally very curious. So if they interrupt the video, like one just might right now, don't be surprised or alarmed. Right now I'm just drawing the square for my cube. So when you are drawing 1 point perspective, objects that face you are going to look normal. Only the sides that go away from you are what goes to the vanishing point. So I'm going to connect lines from these 3 corners to the vanishing point. Since these are the sides that I see, I will not connect a line from here because that's going to go behind my form. I won't be able to see it. So I'm going to draw this lightly. Since I'm not going to keep the whole line, I want to make sure that all of these are going to the vanishing point. Okay, this line's a little bit off, so I got to fix that. There we go. All right. So right now I don't have a cube. I have an incredibly long rectangular prism. So in order to finish this cube out, I have to draw a vertical line here to do the back side, and then a horizontal line lining up with the top of that vertical line and then going across to this line over here. And there is your cube. Then once you get that drawn, go ahead and erase these extra lines here. Next, we're going to draw a pyramid. So I'm going to draw this over here on this side of the paper. And again, with 1 point perspective, the side that's facing you is going to appear like a normal looking shape. It's the side that goes away from you that appears distorted. Okay, so with this, you're going to connect from here. You do not have to connect from here to make your pyramid. And again, it needs to go from this corner to the vanishing point. I'm drawing the line lightly. So now I have this line extending. In order to finish out my pyramid, I have to connect my ruler with the point up here and then draw a line to the base. And there's my pyramid. I'm just going to darken up this line a little bit. And then erase your extra lines. Okay, so we have one more form to do. This is going to be a cylinder, and I'm putting it above the vanishing point and above the horizon line. So do your best to draw a circle. If you have a circle template, that'd be awesome. I do not actually have one, so I'm just going to try to hand draw this to the best of my ability. Okay. Now what you got to do, you have to line up your ruler with your vanishing point and the closest edge possible. So now I'm just going to line up my ruler now that's lined up with the vanishing point. I got to line it up with the edge of the circle here. Now it's lined up, I'm going to draw a line. And I have to do the same thing on the other side. Oh, hold on, a little off. There. Okay, so now I have these, it looks kind of like a spotlight. So in order to finish off the cylinder, you're going to draw the back line, and this one is going to be very curved. And there's your cylinder. I'm just going to darken this line up a bit. And then erase your extra lines. And there is a basic 1-point perspective tutorial. Okay, we're about to start our 2-point perspective tutorial. Again, this is linear perspective, and this is a basic version of it. So the first thing we have to do, just like with the 1-point, is draw our horizon line. Remember, horizon line is where the sky appears to touch the ground. It's how we create that illusion of depth in a picture. So what's different between 1-point and 2-point is that 2-point perspective has 2 vanishing points, and these have to be towards the edge of your horizon line. So I'm going to put one over here and one over here. So we're going to draw 3 forms, one above the horizon line, one on the horizon line, and one below the horizon line. All of them are going to be cubes. So the first thing we have to do is draw a vertical line. So what we got to do here, so I've got a cube. The first line you draw is the corner closest to you. So it's this line here. So I'm going to start with the one above the horizon line. And then what I have to do, I have to draw lines connecting the top and bottom of this vertical line to my vanishing points, because these sides are receding. The difference between 1-point and 2-point, not just that you have 2 vanishing points, is that with 2-point perspective, all of your horizontal lines go to vanishing points. With 1-point, only some of them do, only the ones going away from you. Okay, so our next step, we got this line here done. Now we have to get these sides, okay, so that we can get the last side. So this side has a slightly more intense angle than this side does. So there's going to be something that happens, it's called foreshortening, which is an extreme distortion of an object to show depth. So what happens with that is that with foreshortening, that side's going to appear shorter, or you have to draw it shorter to make it actually proportional. Okay. So in order to finish this off, I've got to get the last side, which is going to be the bottom side. With objects that are above the horizon line, you're going to see the bottom, okay? Objects below the horizon line, you're going to see the top. So it just flips on you. So what I'm doing is I'm connecting the bottom of this line here to this vanishing point, this opposite vanishing point, because it is already connected to this one. So these lines have to be connected to both. Now this one is on this line that goes to this vanishing point, so I've got to connect it to this one so that it connects to both. And there's your first cube. And then now that you have your first cube, go ahead and erase those extra lines. Okay. Now this view is called worm's eye view. The reason is because a worm is in the ground, all they can do is look up. You're looking up at this object. So anytime you draw something that is looking up at objects, you're doing worm's eye view. So the next one we're going to draw is the cube that is on the horizon line. Just trying to make sure this is nice and vertical. I'm just lining it up with other lines to make sure that it is. All right, so same step drawing the vertical line first, since that's the corner that's closest to us, the viewer. And then the next step is also the same as this one. I connect the top and bottom of this line to my vanishing points. But this one's a little bit different. Since, like I said earlier, objects above the horizon line, you see the bottom. Objects below the horizon line, you see the top. But this one goes above and below the horizon line. So this one's different. You're not going to see either the top or the bottom. So the way to finish this out is to just draw these back vertical lines here to create those sides. And there's your cube. So again, I'm going to darken up some of these lines here. Then I've got to erase my extra lines. You also have to erase that bit of horizon line that goes through your cube. The reason you erase part of the horizon line that goes through your cube is that your cube is opaque. You can't see through it. So we want it to show that it is opaque. Okay, so this view is called street level or eye level view. Reason for that is if you are looking at an object dead on, especially if it's taller than you are standing above the floor, which means you're not going to see the bottom of the object, and you're standing below the ceiling, so you're not going to see the top of it. All right? So that's why that's called eye level. It's kind of referring to your own eye level. So then the last one we're going to do is going to be below the horizon line. So again, this starts with the same step that this one and this one did. Drawn my vertical line because it's the closest corner of this cube to the viewer. Then I'm going to connect the top and the bottom to the vanishing point. Now I'm going to also have some foreshortening on this side as well. The opposite side is the one that was at the top. This cube down below actually follows the same steps as the one above. It's just flipped. So again, next step we got to do is draw the lines back here that's going to end these sides. And this side has a slightly more intense angle than this one, so it's going to have a little bit of foreshortening. So that just means that the back vertical line is going to be closer to this corner than the other one. All right, then the last step to finish off this cube is to connect these to the vanishing points that they're not already connected to, so the tops of the vertical lines. So this one's already connected to this vanishing point because of this line here. So I've got to connect it, line it up to this one. And then this one is already on this line here, which is connected to that vanishing point, which means I need to connect it to the opposite one. Okay, and this is your last cube, so I'm just going to darken up the line here. That one got a little bit messy. Let me try to fix that. Okay, then once you have your cube all drawn, go ahead and erase those extra lines, those guidelines. And this last cube is called bird's eye view. Reason being, birds are in the air, so they generally see things from above. And this concludes our basic 1-point and 2-point perspectives.